Hello, everyone. This is the Art of Learning Self-Love. I'm Darla Williams, and today our subject matter and topic is decisions and the three C's. Does anyone know what the three C's are and what we may be beginning to speak about? Choices, changes, and chances. So when we stop and think about choices, chances, and changes, what is the first thing that you think of when you hear that? I'm going to ask Matthew, when you hear that, what is the first thing you think of?
Life. Every day is a chance. Every day we can change, and every day we make choices.
Cathy.
I was trying to think of what I thought, and I'm like, we'll go with his. I was like, I don't know. What do I think? I like that. Life. Yeah, exactly.
Now, when I thought about the topic, I always talk to people about your decision. Your decision changes everything. Your decision allows you the choices. Your decision is what is going to affect the changes. And these are the things I'm constantly saying to people is how important the decision process is. So today, I really wanted to focus in on how those two, collaborate, well, more than two, but how that all collaborates together. When we go into the choice, we're set in before, and it could be multiple choices before us. And each one can have a completely different outcome. If I chose to sit down in myself, in my pity party back in the day when everything was broken, I had all right to sit in that space because I had really been through an experience and I had a choice. I had a choice that I could sit there and allow that to become my defeat and feel that I had every excuse to complain. Or I could look at it and realize that I could make a change. And when I made the change, it would allow me through those decisions of making that change, whatever process that was, that I could begin living a different story. Ultimately allowing me to finally stand in that choice and actually be able to experience a life that was more abundant instead of less than who I once was. Due to the experiences and the circumstances that we go through, we all come up to a decision or a choice. And it's what we choose to do with it that can totally change the trajectory of the rest of our lives. And today's lesson is really about finding a way to make those choices as difficult as they are. I'm not going to say it was easy. It never was. It never is. Making a solid decision can be complicated. A lot of people struggle with even choosing what candy bar they want at the grocery store. Which one? Do I want this one or do I want that one? Which one do I really want? And then you leave and you're like, yeah, I probably should have got the other one instead. How many times have you bought something and went, I should have got the other one? It's just how we process. It's what we do, so it's really taking that extra moment, really feeling into the experience and tapping into who we really are so that we're actually landing ourselves in the spaces that we want to land in. Does anyone have any questions yet? Or any comments? Go ahead.
I don't really have a question. I just think that this is like fantastic. This is beautiful because it is how we create everything inherently. And I love how you touch into all of that, the decision piece. And I understand what it's like to make a tough decision. Like when I decided to be a stay-at-home dad kind of thing, I got a lot of flack from every direction. It was not a pretty situation because I'm supposed to be providing and doing the work thing, but my wife happened to be making just a little bit more than I was at the time. So we made the decision that I would come and be at home after I had gotten released from my last job. And that was the last job I ever like really truly wanted to have, because I was just like, I know I got to do something. Granted, that was like a decade ago now. So I've grown into that person, and it's so beautiful when you do make the decision, because it's not even like even when I was hearing those kinds of things, it would just roll off me, because it was like, I mean, obviously I took in some of it and I had to forgive myself and others for that. And I'm okay with it now. Just sent out love and kept saying, I know I love you. I know I love you. I'm sending out love to you and all this other stuff. And it just worked. And it was a beautiful way of being. And it still is a beautiful way of being, because I have certain visions and I'm going after those visions. What somebody says will never affect that. It might influence it to go a certain direction a little bit, because like any plane, you always have to continuously adjust to be able to fly or get to a destination. Same thing. But this is a beautiful way of putting it. And I love how you put this, Darla. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Cathy, what about you? You got anything to share into that?
Let me unmute you.
There you go.
I'm just taking it all in, just sitting with it, listening to it, trying to process it. But yeah.
Perfect.
Ooh, real quick, sorry. When your significant other kissed you, by the way, just saw that split second of like energy, like that bursts out from the loving touch. I thought it was beautiful when I saw it, so I just had to say something.
I was shocked he did it. Okay.
No, that's awesome. You know
Yeah.
what? The energy is, emotion is our energy. It is the flow of everything. And that in itself, for a brief moment, Matthew was able to, see how the magic between the two of you is
Yeah.
strong.
Even yesterday when we had our girls' night, he's growing too, it's never as fast as I want it to, but I try to hold space for him, and I know he is, but he bought like all kinds of fruit and vegetables so that I could make a fruit tray for everybody. And he was like, I got you this cheese, and then I got you this, and then I got you that. And I was just like, ah. And I told everybody, I was like, Eric did all this for us. And they were just like, that's so nice. And,
The details matter.
Yeah,
The details matter. I mean, and they really help to collaborate in it and bring everything together. And that is beautiful. I'm really grateful to hear that. I do hear and see you guys expanding too. It's awesome.
Sorry, Ace had an accident, so.
Oh, okay. Well,
She seems so much later than the last time I saw her. Like I see the uplifting. I really do. It's beautiful. It's very good.
it is amazing. I enjoy working and walking. It's not really, everybody does their own work. So I'm just walking along and showing, it's like lighting up the pathway and saying, here we go along, and let's just walk this together. I don't like people that have to walk it alone, because I know what it felt like when I was struggling back in the day. It's like, okay. And I think that's what lands us all in the coaching arena, because when we've gone through some of our stuff, we have suffered through it by ourselves and didn't know, and had to reach out and listen to some of the podcasts and listen to some of the others who have grown and developed, that led us and that really gave us the tips that allowed us to be able to tap into who we really are and begin pulling ourselves up out of that murk and mire that goes on in our life. We don't have to stay down there. We can always climb back up, and we can use it to our advantage to be able to build up and bring other people to that success as well. You know, my story personally is from the pit to Zion. And when I finally write my story, and I actually put it out into the details, which I mean, I've got a lot of notes for it. And, you know, I got lots of memories I can put in and throw it all and collaborate it and put it together into the pages of the book so people can read it. But I'm not there yet. I know what the final part is, and I'm almost there. And it's just not time, because I'm going from that bottom to that mountaintop type, you know, so underneath it all, beneath it in that pit of my life, and then climbing that's, you know, that mountain of my life to get to that high point. You know, I know that there's just a couple things left that I see it, I can view it, I know where I'm headed. And as soon as I land it, I know it's the right time to go back and actually write it all out.
With you there, my sister.
Huh?
With you there, my sister.
You know, there's just some experiences, you know, when you're going on that, you just have some different things that you have to come through before others are going to see you at that same, you know, where you actually are in that mountain. I mean, for myself, I've had mountaintop to mountaintop to mountaintop, but they don't know that, because they don't know how far down I began, you know, where I feel that I was in that pit, where I was beneath what happened, you know, beneath what experience that I went through. You know, I really, you know, when I first, you know, share some of my story, it begins with broken before I even began. I didn't have a chance. I was
I I really resonate with that too, because that's, you know, one thing that Eric and I were really fighting about, because he's like, you know, I'm stressed and I'm struggling, and I'm like, so am I. But he was never seeing, like, he's like, oh, you're just a stay-at-home mom, like you got it easy. And I'm like, so he wasn't seeing my struggle and able to relate to the struggle of whatever, you know, what entails as being a stay-at-home, you know, parent. And you know, I just told him, I'm like, struggle is struggle. The feeling of struggle is struggle. It doesn't matter if it's something that you perceive as easy, it's a struggle for me, it's a struggle. So it's almost like he was always like kind of one-upping, like, oh yeah, your back's hurting, my back's hurting too. Great, both our backs are hurting. You know what I mean?
You know, but that's the truth though. But when people are in the struggle, can they see past it? No, because it becomes a blinder. It becomes so inept that we are stuck in it. We're literally like climbed into the struggle, and then it feels like there's no way out. It's like, you know, when you're out and about and you see those people downtown in the mimes, and they got that box. You don't see it, you don't know what's happening. You have no idea looking into their life what's actually happening. But they have literally, like the mime, climbed inside the imaginary box of that struggle. The struggle is only the struggle as long as you allow it to be the struggle. It literally, you become set free when you come to learn this is a lesson. And how am I doing this to myself? How am I doing this to others? And how am I doing this to the very soul of who I am? And when we look at those moments and actually acknowledge those moments, then we can actually deliver ourselves out of the struggle. But it's literally like when you're looking at someone else, we have no idea when we're walking next to someone what their struggle is, what their circumstances are. So we have no clue that they may be exactly like that mime stuck inside that box. And how do we pull ourselves out so we can actually begin sorting what's necessary and what needs to be let go of? Where do we make those decisions? Where do we make those choices? Where do we begin to make the change? How do we begin? You know, a lot of times we all get stuck just before we start. And when we're going through, you know, like when you get your child up and you put them on their bike for the very first time and they're riding along and you're holding the seat and the handlebars trying to keep them steady, but you know that they're pedaling and they're doing a great job, and you make the decision, they're ready. So you let go, but what do? They make a change and then they crash. What happens a lot of times in life when we crash, we don't have anybody along the side of us that can pick us back up, dust us off, and tell us we can do it again. So we hit that wall, and sometimes we stay there. The purpose of this class today is to help us. If there's anything you're stuck in, that you're wanting to move out of, that you're wanting to rearrange and you want to see it from a different perspective and allow others to maybe speak into that space, to allow you to look at it from other spaces. See, we all have our own lens of life. And when we're sitting in that lens of life, that's all we can see. And if we're struggling, we're only seeing the struggle. So if we go and sit with other people and begin to allow ourselves to open up to the idea that others have a different perspective and a different lens, and they may be able to see it from a different space, it'll allow us to grow and change and allow us to expand and broaden our horizon. So go ahead, Matthew.
This just matches up with my how my last couple of weeks has gone, because exactly like you're talking about before, if my podcast, for instance, would have broken up and died like a year ago, I wouldn't have known what to do next, kind of thing. But because I've taken, like you said, that lens of other people, and I've been applying it to my life over the past year and a half, it seems like as soon as that happened, a new flow state took its place so that I could get right onto my next project without like faltering at all. And it, like, I have never experienced that, and I didn't realize I was that skilled until that moment, because it just happened. And I'm like, whoa, what a difference. But it took a year and a half of studying with these people, and it took a decade of studying books and other things. So it's not like I didn't put the work in. It's just the timing, it was just universal and beautiful. So I just, now that I'm there, I'm just enjoying the ride now. I'm just like, yes, let's go snowboarding with the universe some more.
So you had your light bulb moment.
I had this moment too, where when you were speaking, because what I was speaking about yesterday was, you know, what your words are speaking, right? You have the power to speak life and death. So what are you speaking? Are you speaking life into people? Are you speaking life into yourself? Are you speaking life into every minute and every situation of the day? Or are you speaking death? I mean, yesterday was just like, whoa, you know, because I was able to tell everybody that, and you could tell everybody was like, just stopped and paused and thought about themselves and was like, whoa, it's okay. But it just even got me thinking, like, you know, what am I speaking life into? What am I speaking life to at every given moment of the day? And what am I speaking death into? You know, because isn't that the creation?
That is the power of our creation. You know, in the beginning, in the foundations, we were created in the image and the likeness of our God. Being that we are created in the image and the likeness, we are given a tool and we're given an ability to continue to grow and develop. So out of that, when we know that if I speak negative over my circumstance or positive over my circumstance, it can change the trajectory of it. But if I'm speaking life into my life, it's going to continue to flourish. If I begin to go, oh, I can't do that, I'm not able, which is the normal dialogue. This is what we have all come to be accustomed to. Oh, you know what? That's out of my hands. That's out of my, but we are truly unlimited because we are creators. We're only as limited as we believe in ourselves. What we see is what we believe is what we can achieve. One of the best gifts I ever received in my life is if you can dream it, you can become it. That for me was one of the moments that was life changing. When I realized that my potential is literally sitting between my ears. And I am capable of doing anything as long as I'm willing to do whatever it takes. So when I'm making those changes, when I'm making those choices, when I'm sitting in the choice, the change, and the 3 C's. What were my 3 C's? I forgot my note.
Choices, changes, chances.
Choices, changes,
chances.
Thank you. That was the one I lost, was chance. I don't chance things very much anymore. I make choices. The chance, though, is when it comes and gets delivered to you. When you're sitting there and you have the chance. When I didn't know I could be anything else but the cashier and a clerk in a store and working in an office of a grocery store in the grocery industry. I mean, I'd made it up the rungs. I would work in the office. I was the one, tending to all the book work, making sure the front end of the store was handled. Every cashier was, taken care of. I was successful in what I was doing. And I loved it. I loved the people. I loved the work. And I had a great time doing it. But I had a chance that was put before me. And that was my children's books. When I realized my nephew was like, can you draw me some pictures? After I delivered the pictures to the storyline that I'd been telling him, he sat there at 10 years old and recognized that it was a book. And he was like, how do you do that? How do you make that a book? When a 10-year-old asks you a question like that and they see a potential that you didn't even realize was there, you have a chance to change your world. So I began doing what was necessary, looking up all the details, seeking out, for myself personally, Google became my best friend until I asked her why. His jacket had a double-ended zipper. And that was the reason she wasn't my friend that day, was because she told me I was pretty thick. Because it releases the pressure on the zipper when it's in a seated position. And that's how she put it. The reason your jacket has a double-ended zipper is while in a seated position, you can release the pressure on the zipper. I said, basically, Google told me I was fat. So in that moment, I was not happy with Google, but the rest of the time, she's really given me everything I've ever needed to understand how to produce what I was trying to produce in life. So looking at my nephew, when he was sitting there flipping through, my nephews, when they were flipping through the pages that I had drawn, and they were reading off the manuscript that I'd typed out, and they were sitting there in my kitchen going, and my nephew at 10 years old turns to me and says, Aunt Darla, that's a real book. I read lots of them. He saw potential that I didn't even know I had. that I wasn't really aware of within myself. So I began pursuing it. And that was the chance of a lifetime for me. It changed the trajectory of everything I was doing. It allowed me to land and publish my first book, leading me to the second, and now getting ready to start a third. I'm also working for others and writing their stories. I'm writing one on overcoming PTSD, and it's somebody else's memoir. So writing that story from a first party position is really difficult. It's very uncomfortable sometimes because I'm really experiencing their life, because I have to do it from a first party and I have to climb into that pain and actually write it as if it was mine. And so separate, keeping myself in a safe place mentally while doing so can be very complicated. It can be daunting sometimes, but it's well worth it, because when that story gets delivered, it's not only going to help to pull the pieces back together for that individual so that they have something tangible in their hand, but it's also going to allow the world to see that they too have an opportunity and can get past a disease, a disability, something that they're not capable of processing at this moment, but they'll be able to look at ways that they're going to be able to. I had no clue when it began for me that I was capable of doing that. It was something I dreamed of doing when I was a little girl. I actually brought myself back to that 4 and 5-year-old little girl who felt she was completely invincible, and was able to tap back into that space and realize that I knew who I was supposed to be long before I became her. Our children truly know. And that's one of the things, really listen. When your children are speaking, listen, because they're just little people. And they have more knowledge sometimes than you would ever really give them credit for. And I'm grateful to who I am today because of my nephew. Because he showed me something that was lying dormant inside of me. And I took full charge of that, made the choice, and began living the life of my dreams. And that's what I want to be able to help other people to do as well. And being, Matthew, that you are the dream concierge, I know that totally spoke to you, because that is what you like to do, is help people to discover that, finding the way to make them who they were meant to become, and helping them to create that blueprint is
amazing.
I know that must be rewarding work for you every day.
Yes, I enjoy. I am the dream concierge. I will help. I love helping people do that. It's so rewarding and so much fun to watch them create their own worlds.
So what is it in each individual here? Does anybody have any area that you want to hear someone else speak into your life? That you want to hear some other perspectives so you can broaden where you're going?
Hey, Darla, I have a few things to say about all this.
Yes, ma'am.
As you might expect, just give me a second. So I'm in the middle of cleaning, but I wanted to take a moment to just speak up, speak out. That's what I teach people: speak up, speak out. I'm all into dreams and where we want to go and what we want our lives to be about. And at the same time, I'm very committed that we be present to all that we do have, to all the riches in our life, to the people, to the resources. I think so often we get caught up in where we're going and where we want to go that we forget to be present to all that life has given us. And what I'm discovering for myself is the more I can be present to what life has already blessed me with, the more I'm in the present moment for sure, and the less I am caught up in the the web of what the ego says I need to have. To me, there is a dramatic difference between the voice of the ego that says, oh, I need to, be a trillionaire, or, oh, I need to have X, Y, and Z to feel good, or I need to conquer this mountain. The voice of the ego can really wreak havoc with us and take us away from the present moment. And I'm learning more and more to listen to that still small voice within that says, here we are. And maybe sometimes here's where we're going. Here we are. And maybe sometimes here where we're going, but it's much more about life right now. So I get a little concerned where, especially in this community, where the big question is, what do you want? And how can I help you get there? As if there's something wrong with where we are. There's absolutely nothing wrong with where we are.
Exactly.
And if we acquired nothing else, if our income didn't increase, if our teams didn't increase, if we didn't get more education or whatever, life is still full of miracles and magic and bounty. So I just offer that, especially so that we don't mortgage the present moment for what some future may or may not be what the soul of life has in mind for us. There's a really big difference. I'm sure you find that for yourself. I see heads nodding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
I want to say thank you so much. That's actually one of the key steps in dreaming, though, is getting still. Be still. Love the now. Be grateful for everything in the now, because you don't know what's next. The universe is smart. I let it guide me. There's no other way.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you,
I
Kath.
see your tears, Kath.
Because me, I have my little quotes. Hold on, let me grab it. It's my favorite, and you're gonna ask me who it's by. I'm gonna be like, I don't know. Hold on, I'll show. I gotta scroll up for a sec. But it always helped me, and I give this to everybody. It's by, it actually has it on here, Pema Chodron.
Yes.
In life, we think that the point is to pass the test or overcome the problem. The real truth is that things don't really get solved. They come together for a time and they fall back apart. Then they come together again and fall apart again. It's just like that. Personal discovery and growth come from letting there be room for all of this to happen. Room for grief, room for relief, room for misery, room for joy. Suffering comes from wishing things were different. Misery is self-inflicted. When we are expecting the ideal to overcome the actual, or needing things or people or places to be different for us so that we can then be happy. Let the hard things in life break you. Let them affect you. Let them change you. Let these hard moments inform you. Let this pain be your teacher. The experiences of your life are trying to tell you something about yourself. Don't cop out on that. Don't run away and hide under the covers. Lean into it. What is this lesson in the wind? What is this storm trying to tell you? What will you learn if you face it with courage, with full honesty, and lead into it?
Beautiful.
And I was thinking about what you said, and I think it was you or maybe Darla. Somebody had told me that, what is the ego? You created the ego in those moments where you couldn't nurture yourself and you weren't being nurtured, right? So we create that ego to protect ourselves. And when you stop and think about it, where you're at now, knowing that you need nothing. You are connected to source. Everything is already written out and everything's just unfolding to let it unfold. You don't need your ego. You don't need to. And I think that's the most beautiful part, is being able to tuck your ego away, right? Because it's your pride. When you really break down what ego is pride. And pride, when you're sitting there, I love Lori Ladd because she said, imagine the highest version of yourself, your highest self. How does that person act? How does that person respond in any and every given situation? What is the highest self that you would respond in any given situation? But when you approach a situation and you think my highest self would come from love at this, right? Your pride, your ego is like, no, but I'm going to get hurt. No, but I need to protect myself, right? Because we're so afraid to shine. We're so afraid to be vulnerable. But if you don't realize that being vulnerable, healing is about being able to open your heart and sit with the things that are trying to hurt you and choosing what to do with it, right? Like somebody comes at me, I decide I'm hurt, and now I have this emotion. What do I do with it? Do I dump it? What do I want to do with it? Do I want to integrate it and make it part of my whole entire day? And she was saying, that emotion is asking to be felt. So if you're angry, sit with anger, sit with it, then choose what to do with it. And so that really was another win for me, was realizing I don't need to protect myself. Somebody's inability to accept my brand of love is not a reflection of me. It's not a reflection of me. That's a reflection of the whatever's lacking in them. But we keep taking everybody's reflection or projection of themselves and we internalize it and make it our truth, right? Oh, this person said I'm a bad person. I must be bad. Let me go off and think about this. How am I a bad person? You're not a bad person. You just took somebody else's bad day and internalized it and made it your truth. You say.
Thanks so much.
Beautifully delivered, Cathy. Thank you.
The passion. Passion is great in you, Cathy. Look at you shine.
Bro, she's flourishing. She's becoming all that she truly is.
She's going to have her own mastermind soon. I can see it in your future.
I was telling my friend Marquisa this because she was like, I'm broken. I'm like, you're not broken. You just think that you're broken. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Nothing. Not a single thing.
I once felt like that. And that's who I thought I was, to become this.
And that's what I told her. I said, once you heal, because everybody wants to project outside. But once you go inside, because all the answers are in you and you're healing and you're inside, nothing can touch you. That's when you take all the power back. Somebody can say something, they can look at you, and you can stand in your light and not dim it down so that other people will be okay, And when you do that, when you operate from that place of love, you are in alignment with God. And when you are in alignment with God, your higher self, whatever you call that, source, universe, when you're in alignment with that, you are your best self, because we were born of love. We were created in love. The day you were conceived was love. There was no hatred in that.
Exactly.
You just need to remember how to keep tapping into that and leading with that.
Love is the master's key to our success.
Beautiful.
So what are you guys looking at today in your worlds that you have been struggling with making a choice, a change, a decision? And are you ready to actually embark on it? And if you are, what decision are you making today? I'm going to start. I'm going to just say that today I have chosen to be more deliberate in hearing what is happening around me so that I can make better decisions as each opportunity lands before me.
I think I will be, I am the that great coach that I want to be, to spread the joy of finding that dream, creating that dream, being that dream that you want to be right now. And I can share that and portray that with everybody that I run into.
Excellent decision. Anybody else?
I have some anger to sit with. I'm a little annoyed at a lot of people, or I'm annoyed at a lot of people, or a lot of anger at a few people. I'm not sure, but it feels kind of a little scary. So I'm going to do, Kath, what you suggested and just sit with it and see what it's here to teach me. Thank you.
That is beautiful. Thank you.
That's something I really started practicing this week, was really like, you know, listening to people and see people. Like, what are they really saying, you know, but really seeing them for them instead of just like judging them, you know. And I noticed that, you know, the more I practice that, you know, the more it makes it okay for me to, you know, the more you stop internalizing what they're saying and just really see them, you know, it makes it easier to love them. Because when you're angry, right, when somebody's angry and they're dumping their emotion on you, right, if we internalize it. But I was like breaking it down for my friend, and I was like, imagine coming at somebody from love instead of taking it personally, and you're coming at them at love. Like, what are they going to do? Like, there's going to be two choices. They're going to be like, I don't want to hear this. They're not ready to hear it, and they're going to walk away, right? Or what? They're just going to have to stop and listen to love. Like, you can't think about it. Like, if somebody, you're mad and you're yelling, and somebody's like, my dad used to always do this to me and I hated it. He'd put his hand on my shoulder and bitch, and he'd put his hand on my shoulder and he'd say, it's gonna be okay. Be like, oh no, it's not. You know? Like, but it's really like, you know, when somebody does that, right, you don't have a choice but to stop, you know. And I think that's kind of the real lesson, is being able to learn, like, you know, your frustrations with other people, it's because you see their highest potential and that highest aspect, and you want the best for them, but they're not doing it, you know. And again, it's like us taking their free will away from them to make them okay, you know. Let them do it on their own. You know, wait for them
Giving everyone the opportunity for their own space. That is beautiful. That's beautiful. I do have to go ahead and pull this out at the end. Now it is 12:01, so we're a minute after the hour, and I know others have different things that they're running off to. So I need to go ahead and bring it to a close. And I got to run off to work myself. So thank you, everybody, for being here today. And I hope that this brought value to each and every single one of you where you are today. Remember, stop, pause, think of the 3 C's, and make a decision. Because once you make that decision, all the rest of the details fall right into place. Be well.
Thank you,
Blessings.
Darla. Blessings, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.